Our experience on board Dragon was just really exciting for us. Both the fueling event before we lifted off, it was different than the space shuttle, a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more exciting for us, probably a little bit, just a little bit at least, because it was the first time anyone had done that. We then launched into space on board the Falcon 9, and the ride, I'll say, was a little bit smoother than our shuttle experience. The shuttle was a little bit rougher, at least at the beginning. Later in the flight, it did wake us up a little bit, though, as we continued all the way into low Earth orbit. Just really exciting for both of us. I know we were smiling and talking through the entire way uphill, so it was just a lot of fun for us.
That's great. And just for our viewers, given the fact that we do have a little bit of a delay, keep in mind this is a live interview. It's taking place with the International Space Station, which is 250 miles above Earth. Expedition 63 ISS Commander Chris Cassidy, flight engineers Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley are with us this morning. Guys, major moment in history. What does this mean for each of you?
Well, I think for me personally, it's a great way to fly your third time in space after 9-year wait to fly previously on the last shuttle flight. So this is a good way to kind of bookend it from a career standpoint, and to fly with two close friends and get to spend some time on the space station is just it's a real icing on the cake for me.
Great. Bob and Doug, you've worked closely with SpaceX on design and development of Crew Dragon. You named it Endeavour on this trip as well. What was the process of that design and development like, and how involved was Elon Musk?
Well, for both Doug and I, we did spend quite a bit of time working directly with the team out in Hawthorne. We've, of course, visited most of SpaceX's facilities around the country at McGregor, Texas, and then down at the Kennedy Space Center. Our experience was pretty extensive. We were able to get to all the facilities, interface with all the different aspects of the vehicle. I think Doug and I went something like 32 consecutive weeks with travel out to California to work directly with that team face to face. It really just does help to be able to see each other. Managing that through the pandemic that we faced was a bit of a challenge, but one that we overcame, and the SpaceX team did a wonderful job with facilitating that, providing a clean environment and ensuring that we didn't get exposed to anything that might potentially impact hardware production or, of course, a launch delay. I do know that Elon was involved in quite a bit of the development process. I know that many of the topics that we would discuss would then be percolated up through the organization, and he would give the final approval on many of the aspects of things that we were trying to get developed. And so definitely a huge team that pulled together, and SpaceX just did a wonderful job with allowing us to be a part of that innovative process.
And Chris, I'll put this question to you as we usher in this new era of human spaceflight. How close are we really to this commercialized space reality, or the so-called colonization of space? How do you see it?
Well, I see that the space station eventually will no longer be operated by the government. I'm not entirely privy to all the details, but there's plans for after the government is done with the space station, perhaps we turn that over to operating from a commercial entity, or add additional modules that commercial entities provide. And we are really close. Technically, that's not a leap far at all. It's just a matter of getting the will, getting the the demand, and we can make it happen. And that's super exciting because there's so much capability that's offered here on the space station. But ultimately, our destination as space travelers is Mars, with a stop at the moon, and the International Space Station gives us that core, that bedrock of knowledge that we have to really fine-tune all of the technical things we need to do to accomplish those two larger long-term goals.
My career at NASA has kind of spanned a couple of decades at this point. I arrived with the class of 2000, went through the training program, primarily focused on the space shuttle and the International Space Station, learning those systems. Having launched a couple times on vehicles, you know, the second time was definitely different than the first time. You can feel a little bit guilty of, hey, should I study one more thing, or is there one more piece of information I should get? Am I really prepared or not? So that's definitely different between where I was on my first flight and where I'm at right now.
For me personally, as a spouse, watching everything that Bob has put into this over the last 5 years, the dedication that he's shown, the perseverance is pretty special. For both of us, though, the way our minds work, it won't be until sort of the mission is complete that you have really a chance to savor it and celebrate it. This is a huge accomplishment for an Air Force flight test engineer to be part of the demonstration mission of a brand new vehicle. It's going to be amazing.
Without a partner that has that same appreciation, I think it can be challenging for some folks. There's a lot of work and a lot of time that takes away from family that that my spouse appreciates, and I love her for that. On a deeply personal level, I'm really excited that my son is going to get a chance to see me launch into space. Being an astronaut has been a little bit of an abstraction thing for him because he's seen me do it in old videos, but he hasn't seen me do it for real. And so I'm excited for him to see this launch. Really, my role on the Demo 2 mission is to make sure that we get this vehicle tested and evaluated so that we can move on to more operational missions at the International Space Station. We've got a lot of objectives on board the vehicle that we need to accomplish to really make sure that it's good to go. We'll make sure all those systems are working during the test flight so that the future missions will have them available even if they don't plan to utilize them. Through years of the NASA team, helping to share that experience and teaching them the lessons that we've learned by going through this. Now there's another capability in the U.S. besides NASA to operate something of this magnitude. I want to thank the entire Commercial Crew Program team that's worked together to get to this point where we've got vehicles in the launch pad ready to head to the International Space Station.
Excited?
Very excited. Yeah, very excited.
You feel ready? Still pumped?
Oh yeah, I think we're ready. I think we're certainly ready.
Joining the SpaceX Demo 2 test. He is a Marine Corps colonel and test pilot. He was selected as an astronaut in 2000. He piloted Space Shuttle Endeavour and Atlantis for STS-135, the final Space Shuttle mission. Introducing NASA astronaut Doug Hurley.
It's a life-changing process in so many ways to fly into space. It's just overwhelming in some respects. Just the sensations, the rumbling, the shaking, the acceleration. My name is Doug Hurley, and I'm the spacecraft commander for the Demo 2 mission to the International Space Station. This will be the first time the Dragon had a crew on board, and so there's a myriad of objectives we want to achieve for this mission. What would work on orbit, what might not work on orbit, what would definitely work. To be able to just have the entire integrated team that's going to support us getting to and from space station, it was really neat being part of it. You know, we are the lucky ones that get to fly it,
but we certainly not for 1 second take for granted the amount of effort that so many other people had to put into this to make it successful.
For Doug personally, he's worked so hard, I mean, through his entire life, to get to where we are right now. As a test pilot, this would be the dream, to fly a new vehicle. So it makes me so happy to see that he gets to be part of this mission, the spacecraft commander. I'm just glad to see his hard work and his dream come true for that.
It's been a long road in a lot of ways for not only us, but certainly for all the folks that work in the Commercial Crew Program, as well as SpaceX in our case, just working to get to this point.